Heather and Darren Stevenson from Push Physical Theater are with us. Great to see both of you. Thanks for a few minutes.
Thanks for having us.
You are celebrating 20 years this year. I suppose on some level it's hard to believe. How will you celebrate this 20-year anniversary here in 2021?
Well, we are kicking it off this Friday at 8 p.m. Heather and I are doing a Zoom meeting for anybody that wants to come. And we're going to be talking about our adventures in living a creative life and how people might want to better live a creative life. We've started, we met in college, we started our careers together, we raised our kids on the road, and so we've learned a lot of things and made a ton of mistakes. Although I think Heather would agree she's made a few more mistakes than I have.
I was going to say I've made less mistakes.
Less mistakes.
But these are all things we can talk about Friday night.
Yeah, it'll be like couples therapy, but public.
I think the fun thing about what we're doing on Friday evening is that being on Zoom, it is what it is. You know, we call it the miracle of Zoom because there is so much that we can do these days. And as artists, that's what we do is, you know, what are the problems and how can we creatively solve those for the moment? And so we're doing this on Zoom. It opens up many other areas of the country and even internationally that people can tune in with. And it will take place right in Darren's office, in
Yes.
our home office. I have an office as well, but that is in the living room where I used to watch our children and work at the same time. So we'll stay in Darren's office. But it's just going to be a way that we can connect with our audiences again, wherever they are, instead of them coming to see our show live. They're going to come to our home office and have a drink with us. Yeah. So we're excited. The other thing that we'll be doing that evening is kicking off our photo campaign. It's 20 years of selected photos from our adventures. So that would have started in 2001. And that has been, I've been in charge of that because it just so happens that I'm the one that takes a lot of photos and I, you know, had put them in our albums. You know, you go back 20 years and yes, we printed them and put them in our albums and whatever came out, came out. You know, you didn't take 14 shots of one emotion and choose your favorite. So that's been really fun. In the beginning, there's pictures of pictures or scanned shots. They're a little blurry or not perfect. And then over the years, it's really interesting to see the quality change. And now we're into photo shoots and, you know, professionals. So it's really a fun journey to watch the humble beginning and then see how the opportunities opened for us because of the goodness, the graciousness of photographers or opportunities that we had. So it's quite a community connector and a way to say, guys, thank you for helping us grow. Thank you for being our audiences. Thank you for encouraging us, for donating your services. And here's a look at the fun and the adventure that we've all had together over the last 20 years.
Heather, as you look back over the last 20 years, is there a theme or perhaps a few themes that kind of connects the work that you've amassed over that time period?
You know, Mark, the first thing that pops into my head is the word hope. And over the years, we have had a goal or a hope that the audiences leave with a sense of hope. And that they also leave a little more connected to the experience they just had. And we come out to the lobby after every show. That's been a part of who we are in Push. Who we are in Push, we come out to the lobby to meet our audience members. And we've had the best conversations. And if we had an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, we could share a little bit of what those experiences have been like with people connecting with each other in the lobby. We've seen, you know, we've connected people together. Did you know so-and-so actually works at, you know, the diner that you eat at? And, you know, they'll end up like, you know, exchanging numbers. And so we're watching like people connect in the community through a performance. A shared experience gets us all chatting. And those experiences are not concrete, and they don't answer questions, and they don't push our agenda. All they do is invite people to share an experience, and then we ask them a question that will foster deep and hopeful conversations. And that's really all that we're doing, is we're hoping we will connect humanity a little bit deeper over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine in the auditorium or the lobby afterwards, and send people off for their evening being excited about connecting with one another in their own communities. And that's my heart. And I'll let Darren speak for what do you hope that comes out of our shows?
You know, I mean, we happen to be able to be on stage, and so we get to tell our story to a lot of people at one go. But really, we're doing the same thing that everybody does, that humanity has always done, which is tell our stories to each other. I mean, you can go back to the cave paintings in Lascaux, where people crawled into dark caves and took the dirt of the earth and the colors, the black charcoal in their fires and the red dirt in the ground, and they painted their pictures, their stories on the walls. And the biggest thing that we want to do is help and enable other people to tell their stories in their own communities in the ways that they do, whether it is in an artistic forum or whether it's meeting over coffee. It's super important. And I think during COVID, we're all realizing that, because we're stuck at home. We've only been talking to each other for the last few months. It's she got tired of me.
No, I think Darren brings up a great point, that it's not only about us telling our stories or the stories that we've gathered from the human experience, but it's also encouraging each other to share their stories, because it's empowering for all of us. It's connective for all of us to sit around that round table and give each other that opportunity, not just to tell the stories, but also be an active listener, because the only way to foster change, the only way to move forward, is to be an active listener and not be formulating something in your brain to say at the next breath, but just to relax into that position and to accept what's coming at you for what it is, and then have a conversation about it. Yeah. The other part of this is the way that we're able to help others tell their stories is not just in the coffee talk, say after a performance, but also we work with many different groups of people where we share a residency experience. So we come back a number of times and help maybe underserved youth, the elder population, refugee children that are now in our school systems. We come together with these groups of people and give them tools, physical tools, to explore those stories and to tell them to the community. And the wonderful thing about physical theater is that it does cross all language barriers. And so the body speaks, right? The emotion, the hands, the gestures, the breath, the way that we lead our heart or our head. And it's amazing to watch someone you thought you didn't have anything in common with, you suddenly realize, wow, I can completely empathize with what they are showing me, and I'm feeling not a word, but I'm seeing it in the body, and giving them the tools to be able to communicate, and me receiving more tools from their expression is an incredible adventure.
Fascinating insight. Last one for me, 20 years for Push in the books. Given the physical nature of what you do on stage, can you do 20 more years? Do you want to do 20 more years? And what is ahead for Push?
Well, so funny story. There is a photograph that exists. We threw it up. It's on our social media website. You can see it, but I'm laying on the floor and Heather is kneeling. She's sort of balancing up on my feet. And we took that photograph in the early 2000s when we were just starting out. And And then we were in a photo shoot last year, so just about 20 years later, and we did the exact same photo. We didn't plan to do that, but we have these two versions of the same thing. So like we have just kept going. Now I'll say it hurts so much more now than it did then. In 20 more years, I don't know. I kept thinking, yeah, well, we're probably too old. We're probably done, and yet we just keep going. It's so much. It's so much fun to do this. It's such there's such joy in working together, working with other people. And so now we have to I mean, we're on vacation right now. We're away from our home, but we still have to go to the gym every day, work out, because if we don't, it'll all just slide off and we'll be done.
I did want to add about the photos that Darren is referring to.
Yeah.
What I noticed, it was a wonderful exercise for me to look at the two photos next to each other. And what I did see as far as our technique goes is there was more life that I read in that second photo. And I think part of that is those two people have a deeper story to tell 20 years later. And I also saw expanse in the technique. So if you look at the two photos side by side, there's a little more story in the positions, just maybe through the chest or opening of the arms or reaching forward toward each other. Yeah. So that really did encourage me. And the second thing I wanted to mention is, for me going forward, like Darren said, I don't typically take a break from physically training for, I would say, more than 2 days. The problem is, as you get older, for me, the longer I have, even though it feels nice to back off, two things happen. One thing is I lose the technique quicker if I have a longer rest period in between. Yeah. So the balance of how much do I need to rest, and should I even go in to train just to tell my body, this is how you move and this is what I'm expecting you to do. So it's constant communication with our physical and mental selves. And the other thing is, I think it will just change. It will start to change, which I'm seeing that just a little bit now, where I may say, there was actually a move I'm thinking of where you hang upside down between two people pushing their, kind of pushing their bodies into you to hold you there. And I just thought, if I fall out of that, that injury is going to put me out. Like, I don't know how to come back from that at this point. Mm-hmm. So one of the younger girls, I said, are you comfortable doing this? And she said, I'm good. So I switched out for that role, and then I could direct it. So there are some moves now that I'm saying, I prefer not to do that. I can if nobody else is willing to do it, because I'm the director and the buck stops here, right? So I will do it, but I would prefer if somebody else will. And our cast is always so fantastic. Hand chosen, play well with others is our top priority. And they really do. And they usually cover me if I need them to. So we might see a little bit more of that, but we'll be in the game for a number of years.
A little while. Yeah.
Well, it's been an incredible journey. 20 years for Push here in 2021. Celebrate beginning this Friday, Adventures in Creative Living. Make your reservation online at pushtheater.org/donate. And I'll tell you what, here's to 20 more and beyond. Lots more with this conversation on our site as well at rochesterfirst.com.